Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got by J. Abraham. Picture this. Two men, same dark New York street, both get mugged on the same night. The first guy loses his wallet and $85. The mugger vanishes. Done and done. But the second mugging? That's where things get interesting. This mugger grabs the wallet with $70, but he doesn't stop there. He takes the guy's watch and his old Princeton class ring, too. Neither worth much on the street, but to their owner, priceless memories. Here's where it gets wild. 2 days later, the victim's leaving his apartment when someone calls his name. He turns around, and there's the mugger, just smiling. No threat, no drama. Just a simple question. Want your watch and ring back? Of course he does. They mean everything to him. The mugger offers them for $500. The victim only has $90 on him. The mugger takes it, but instead of handing over the items, he gives him a pawnshop receipt. Later that day, the guy heads to the pawn shop and pays another $80 to get his stuff back. Let's do the math. First mugger walks away with $85. But the second one? He got $70 from the mugging, another $60 from pawning the items, plus the final $90 from selling the pawn ticket. His total haul, $220. Same street. Same type of victim, same industry, if you want to call it that. But one saw a simple transaction, while the other spotted hidden assets, overlooked opportunities, and ways to squeeze more value from the exact same situation. That story, as uncomfortable as it might be, unlocks everything we're about to dive into today. It's the beating heart of a truly remarkable book, Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got, written by J. Abraham, a guy often called America's #1 marketing wizard. And look, this isn't just another business book. It's a completely new way of seeing the world around you. It's about discovering potential that's been sitting right under your nose, whether in your career, your business, or even your personal life. By the time we're done here, you'll understand the surprisingly simple framework that separates the superachievers from everyone else. You'll learn the 3, and only 3, ways any business on earth can grow. You'll see how a tiny 10% improvement can explode into a 33% jump in your results. And you'll walk away with a new way of thinking that helps you outthink, outperform, and out-earn the competition in a way that's not just powerful, but deeply ethical and honorable. So let's dive in and learn how you can start getting everything you can out of all you've got. Ever feel like you're grinding away, working harder and harder, just to see tiny incremental gains? Like success is this slow, painful climb up an impossibly long ladder. Most people operate this way. We clock the hours, follow the industry playbook, and hope to inch forward, bit by bit. But J. Abraham tells us this conventional path is actually a trap. It keeps you working for your business instead of getting your business to work for you. He challenges us to flip the script completely. Stop thinking about small steps. Start thinking about quantum leaps. What if you could skip several rungs on that ladder and shoot from where you are now to a level of success you thought was years away? This isn't fantasy. It's the result of a specific mindset, a way of thinking Jay calls creating breakthroughs. A breakthrough, in its simplest form, is finding a new, superior, more exciting way of doing something. And here's the secret sauce. These breakthroughs rarely come from inside your own bubble. If you only study your own industry, you'll only know what everyone else already knows. Same sales methods, same advertising, same tired strategies. You can't be a follower and expect to become a leader. The real breakthroughs happen when you borrow a winning strategy from one industry and drop it into another where nobody's seen it before. Imagine a business tactic that's everyday stuff in one field, having the impact of a nuclear bomb in yours. Think about Federal Express. Before them, overnight delivery was a gamble. But FedEx didn't pull some brilliant concept out of thin air. They looked at how banks clear checks. Everything goes to a central hub before being sent to its final destination. FedEx applied that hub-and-spoke model to packages, made Memphis their central hub, and completely revolutionized an entire industry. Or take the roll-on deodorant. For years, people dealt with messy applications. The solution didn't come from cosmetics. It came from writing. A guy named George Thomas borrowed the ballpoint pen concept and created the roll-on applicator. Once you see it, it seems ridiculously obvious. The world is packed with these unmade connections. You're surrounded by simple, obvious solutions that could dramatically boost your income and success. The problem? You just don't see them yet. This book teaches you how to see. But before you can build, before you can create these breakthroughs, you need a rock-solid foundation, a guiding philosophy. And this is perhaps the most powerful idea in the entire book. Jay calls it the strategy of preeminence. Think about the difference between two words, customer and client. A customer is just someone who buys something. It's transactional. But a client? A client is someone under the protection of another. That difference is massive, and it changes everything. The strategy of preeminence shifts your entire focus from selling to protecting. It's about putting your client's needs so far ahead of your own that your success becomes a natural side effect. It's about falling in love, not with your product or your company, but with your client. Jay tells a wonderful story to nail this home. A guy goes to a hardware store to buy a power drill. But does he really need a drill? Nope. What he truly needs are holes. He needs holes. Maybe to hang a picture his daughter painted, creating a memory. Maybe to build a shelf, bringing order and peace to his home. The drill is just the tool. The holes are the real goal. A salesperson sees a customer who wants a drill. A preeminent advisor sees a client who needs holes. The advisor's job isn't pushing the most expensive drill. It's understanding why the client needs the holes, becoming a trusted guide who protects them from bad decisions and leads them to the best possible outcome. Maybe a different tool works better. Maybe a cheaper drill is all he needs. By protecting the client, you don't just make a sale, you make a friend for life. You become their trusted advisor, and they'll never have a reason to go anywhere else. This philosophy is the soul of your business. It's the compass guiding every other strategy. Once you've got this foundation of preeminence locked in, you can start building the engine of your business. And that engine runs on a beautifully simple formula. Jay Abraham reveals there are only 3 ways to grow any business on earth. Not 500, not 100. Just 3. 1. Increase the number of clients. 2. Increase the average size of the sale per client. 3. Increase the number of times clients return and buy again. That's it. Simple lever. But watch what happens when you pull it. Let's say you have 1,000 clients who each spend an average of $100 with you, twice a year. That's $200,000 in income. Now, what if you boost each of those 3 areas by just 10%? A measly 10% increase. You'd get 1,100 clients. They'd spend $110 per transaction, and they'd buy 2.2 times a year. Your income wouldn't just go up 10%. It would jump to over $266,000. A tiny 10% improvement across the board results in a massive 33.1% expansion in your income. A 25% increase in each area? You nearly double it. This is the power of leverage. The rest of the book is a masterclass in pulling each of these 3 levers, all grounded in the strategy of preeminence. So how do you start? How do you get more clients choosing you in the first place? You have to answer the most important question in business. Why should someone do business with me instead of my competition? If you don't have a clear, compelling answer, you're just one of many, relying on dumb luck. The answer to that question is your unique selling proposition, or USP. It's that distinct, appealing idea that sets you apart from every other Me Too competitor. When Domino's Pizza started, they didn't just sell pizza. They made a killer promise: hot, delicious pizza, delivered to your door in 30 minutes or less, or it's yours absolutely free. At a time when pizza delivery was a roll of the dice, that promise was a total game changer. It was their USP. When Avis was a distant number 2 to Hertz in car rentals, they didn't hide it. They owned it. Their USP became, "We're number 2, we try harder." Brilliant way of positioning themselves as the company that would give better service, because they had to. Your USP is the reason people should listen to you. But even with a killer USP, people hesitate. They're scared of making a mistake. The biggest obstacle to any sale is risk. So what do? You eliminate it completely. This is the strategy of risk reversal. You take all the risk of the transaction onto your own shoulders. Jay tells a story about a farmer wanting to buy a pony for his daughter. 2 were for sale. The first seller offered his pony for $500. Take it or leave it. The second seller's pony cost more, $750, but his offer was completely different. He told the farmer, "Let your daughter try the pony for a month. I'll bring it to your home, along with a month's worth of hay. I'll even send my stableman out once a week to show her how to care for it. At the end of 30 days, if you're not completely happy, I'll come take the pony back and clean the stall myself. Only then, if you decide to keep it, will you pay me?" Which pony do you think the farmer bought? No contest. The second seller removed every ounce of risk from the decision. You probably already stand behind your product or service. But do you shout it from the rooftops? Do you make it the centerpiece of your message? When you guarantee a specific, desirable outcome for your client, or their money back, you make it almost impossible for them to say no. And you can take it even further with what Jay calls a better-than-risk-free guarantee. This is where you not only promise their money back if they're unsatisfied, but you offer them an additional reward for their time and faith in trying you out. Maybe they keep a bonus gift. Or maybe you offer double their money back. This level of confidence in what you offer is so powerful it practically compels people to give you a shot. Now you might be thinking, what if I can't afford to make these kinds of offers? And that brings us to another critical concept: understanding the lifetime value of a client. Most businesses obsess over making a profit on the very first sale. But the smartest businesses understand the real profit comes from all the repeat purchases a client makes over months, years, or even decades. Think about those book or music clubs offering you 12 CDs for a penny. You think they're losing money? Not even close. They know a certain percentage of people who take that initial offer will keep buying at full price for years to come. They're willing to break even, or even take a small loss on the first transaction, because they know the massive combined profits coming from the back end. Once you calculate what an average client is truly worth to you over the entire life of your relationship, you realize you can afford to invest way more to acquire that client in the first place. You can afford incredible risk reversal guarantees or break-even first sales because you're playing the long game. Now we've got a preeminent philosophy. We've got a unique reason for people to choose us. We've removed all the risk, and we understand the real money is in the long-term relationship. What's next? We focus on the second lever, increasing the average size of the sale. This is where you, as the trusted advisor, help your client get an even better result. These are what we call add-ons and cross-sells. When you buy a car, do you just buy the base model? Or does the dealer, your trusted advisor in this transaction, offer you a better stereo, a security system, or an extended warranty? They're not just trying to pad the bill. They're helping you build the total transportation package that gives you the most joy and peace of mind, the real result you're after. A classic example comes from the Great Depression. Kraft was trying to sell cheddar cheese powder, but nobody was buying. Total flop. Then one salesman in St. Louis had an idea. He started adding individual packets of the cheese powder to boxes of macaroni and offered grocers the chance to sell them as a single item. Kraft dinners. Instant hit. The company saw how well they sold and made it official. The add-on created a better, more complete meal solution for the customer. By understanding what your client is truly trying to accomplish, you have an obligation to introduce them to all the options that could give them a better outcome. So you've built this incredible engine, but how do you know if it's running at peak performance? How do you know your USP is the most powerful one? Or that your risk reversal offer is the most compelling? Or that your price is the most profitable? You don't guess, you test. You test everything. Henry Ford, the man who became America's first billionaire, had a peculiar hiring practice. Before he'd hire anyone for an important position, he'd have lunch with them. If the person salted their food before tasting it, Ford wouldn't hire them. Why? Because it showed they were willing to implement a plan before testing it. It's not unusual for one approach to outperform another by 10 or even 20 times. The sales pitch you're currently using might be delivering only a fraction of the results an alternative approach could yield. Without testing, you're leaving massive potential on the table. This is where the internet makes Jay's timeless advice even more powerful. Online, you can test different headlines, different offers, and different prices with scientific precision using tools like Google's Website Optimizer. This is called split testing, showing one version of your web page to half your visitors and another version to the other half, then seeing which performs better. The smartest internet marketers know testing is the holy grail. It's like giving yourself a pay raise every single week. All these strategies, preeminence, USP, risk reversal, lifetime value, add-ons, and testing, are about maximizing what you already have. But Jay Abraham doesn't stop there. The second half of the book is about something even more exciting: multiplying your maximum. It's about creating multiple sources of income and growth, so you're never dependent on just one thing. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through what he calls host-beneficiary relationships. Why spend all your own time, money, and effort finding new clients from scratch when you can tap into the trust and goodwill other companies have already spent millions building? The idea is simple. Find a non-competing business that already sells to the exact clients you want to reach. Their product either comes before, goes along with, or follows what you sell. For example, if you're a real estate agent, who else serves your client? Carpet cleaners, moving companies, interior decorators. You approach that host business and make them an offer they can't refuse. Let them endorse your service to their clients, and you'll share a generous portion of the profits. Sears and Roebuck made hundreds of millions promoting Allstate Insurance in their stores. Fast food chains like McDonald's team up with movie studios like Disney to promote the latest film. Perfect win-win. The host business creates a new profit center with zero effort or risk, and you, the beneficiary, get a warm introduction to a pre-sold audience. Another way to multiply your reach is creating a formal referral system. You probably already get some word-of-mouth business, but do you have a systematic process for generating it? The mindset shift here is crucial. When you truly believe in the value you provide, you realize you have a moral obligation to serve the people your clients care about. You're not asking for a favor. You're extending an opportunity. You make it a standard part of your process to ask every happy client, who else do you know that could benefit from this same positive result? You make it easy for them, and you make the offer to their friends completely risk-free. And what about the clients you've already lost? The ones who stopped buying for whatever reason. These are your prodigal clients. It costs almost nothing to try winning back an old client, but a fortune to acquire a new one. Research shows most clients don't leave because of some major, unfixable problem. They leave because of indifference, or because they simply got out of the habit of buying from you. Reaching out with genuine concern. We haven't heard from you in a while, and we were worried. Is everything okay? Have we done something wrong? Can be incredibly powerful. This humble, client-focused approach can reignite the relationship and turn a lost client into one of your most loyal advocates. And finally, in our modern age, many of these multiplication strategies are supercharged by technology. In the original book, Jay dedicates a chapter to direct mail, calling it your 10,000-person sales department. Today, that concept is amplified 1,000 times over through email marketing and pay-per-click advertising. The principles are exactly the same. The goal of a website shouldn't just be making an immediate sale. The smartest online businesses use their websites for lead generation. They offer something of immense value for free, a special report, an educational video, in exchange for a visitor's name and email address. This is the online equivalent of building trust. Once you have that permission, you can use automated email sequences, or autoresponders, to build a relationship over time, delivering value and earning their trust until they're ready to buy. You can use pay-per-click ads on Google to find your starving crowd, people actively searching right now for exactly what you offer. Instead of chasing customers, they come to you. ultimate form of attraction marketing. And just like everything else, you test your ads, test your keywords, test your landing pages, constantly refining your approach to get better and better results. From a foundational philosophy of serving others to a tactical playbook for exponential growth, J. Abraham provides a complete system for seeing and seizing opportunities others miss. It all comes back to that simple story of the two muggers. One saw a transaction, the other saw potential. The question this book leaves us with is, which one will you be? As we wrap up our journey through getting everything you can out of all you've got, it's worth taking a moment to reflect on the core message. On the surface, this book is packed with brilliant business strategies, USPs, risk reversal, host-beneficiary relationships. And if you only apply these as tactics, you'll definitely see an improvement in your results. But to do just that would be missing the very soul of this book. The true genius of J. Abraham's work isn't in the tactics themselves, but in the philosophical foundation they're built on, the strategy of preeminence. This idea that your primary role isn't to sell, but to protect and advise your client, is a profound shift in perspective. It transforms business from a series of transactions into a series of relationships. It elevates your work from a job to a calling. When you genuinely fall in love with your clients and dedicate yourself to their best interests, the other strategies stop being clever tricks and become natural extensions of your desire to serve. Risk reversal isn't a gimmick. It's a sincere expression of your confidence and commitment to your client's satisfaction. Add-ons aren't about upselling. They're about ensuring your client achieves the best possible result. Referrals aren't about getting leads. They're about your moral obligation to help the people your clients care about. In a world that often feels cynical and transactional, this approach isn't just refreshing. It's a massive competitive advantage. People are starved for genuine connection and trust. When they find someone who truly has their back, who acts as their champion and trusted advisor, they become fiercely loyal. They become your unpaid sales force, your greatest advocates, and your friends for life. The beauty of these principles is their universal applicability. Doesn't matter if you're a 17-year-old with a summer lawn mowing business, an aspiring entrepreneur with a new app, or the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. The levers of growth are always the same. So how can you start applying these ideas today? Here are a few simple actions. First, identify your own 3 ways to grow. Think about your current endeavor, whatever it may be. How could you find one new client? How could you increase the value of what you do for them? And how could you get them to come back or work with you again? Just thinking in this framework will open your eyes to new possibilities. Second, practice the strategy of preeminence in a small way. Next time you help someone, a customer, a classmate, a family member, consciously shift your focus from your own goal to theirs. Ask more questions. Listen more deeply. Try to understand the whole they need, not just the drill they're asking for. See how it changes the interaction. And third, find one small thing you can test. Doesn't have to be a big, complicated experiment. If you're sending out emails, try 2 different subject lines. If you're making a presentation, try 2 different opening lines. The goal is simply getting into the habit of questioning your assumptions and letting real-world results be your guide. That was a summary of Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got by J. Abraham. We've explored the core philosophies and strategies today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only ever be a map. The real treasure is found on the journey of reading the book yourself. It's in those quiet moments when a particular story or a simple turn of phrase connects with you in ways you didn't expect. This summary is designed to help you decide if this book is worth your time and attention. If anything we've talked about has sparked a sense of possibility within you, I genuinely encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning tactics. It's an experience that can genuinely change the way you see the hidden potential in your world and in yourself. The link to the book is in the description. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please take a moment to click that like button and subscribe to Billionaire's Bookshelf. That way, You won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book. Let's continue this journey of growth together.